Pashaparo, Wide at 7. Thank you for tuning. The replay. So, big boy P.E.P for my peeps. What's going on with you? Alright, it's Monday. I think it's supposed to be the surge day. We didn't really see. Well, let me know how your day was, but we didn't really see the surge. That's been so accustomed to us on Mondays. We had a good Friday. Made some adjustments. Turned some things around. Got rid of some stuff. Did about 400 in the green. Very welcome green day. After a little bit of sliding. And then we came today and we slid red again. So between the two, we're down about $500. Made about 4. Did about a red 900. So give or take, we're at about 500 in the red between Friday and today. So it's kind of interesting. I started to look into stuff because it's weird. Like, a lot of stuff is weird. Now, you know who you're talking to. I'm very, very like on the edge with the whole. Let me not say it like that. Let me say I've been pretty. You've watched the growth and development, and it's all kind of been wrapped around being in but being out at the same time, like protecting yourself, because the market's been a little crazy, and we just wanted to make sure that we were able to get some but be well positioned, have a lot of it out in case something surprise happened, like March of last year, and make moves like that. So, in other words, you've been talking to someone that's been cautious, or you've been listening to someone that's been pretty cautious the whole time you've been listening to me, okay? So this is nothing new. For me, these are just normal, like, observations, but I don't want anybody to panic, okay? Being a Virgo, we're naturally cautious anyway, so much so that most of the other signs consider us suspicious. So take a look at that real quick and go from there. Now, let's take a look at some stocks, shall we? So here we have the Osprey situation, and I'm zoomed out of it because I wanted to see what the high level looks like, pull back out and observe, because if we zoom in, we may see some ups and downs, and that's great on the micro, but what's the macro look like, right? So this is SFTW. This is that one that had a nice jump. It's up. I think we're actually at about, we're actually a little down on this right now. Based on what it was currently. So if you look, it had a nice run up to over $16, and then it started to decline. But this one, I'm considering reducing some of the stake in this one, just to maybe like 100 shares or so. Now, let's look at CGIX. CGIX is crazy. It's crazy. Now, it did this crazy thing here. It got a lot of people involved, and then it did this plunge, right? And it held this line for a while. and then it dropped across this line here, which I warned, I warned of this line, what it meant once it crossed over. Pay attention. And as you can see, the lowest point it was prior to that, well, not counting all the way over here, but the lowest point it was prior to that was here, and that gave us 637, right? So at that point, I said, once it crosses into here, it could easily come down to here. I haven't changed any of this. Matter of fact, if we take this and just extend it, smooth out, you see what's going on. So it came down and hit the bottom here of the box. It held. It tried to come back up, but it did cat bounce. Came down, dropped. It had a little bit of rebirth, and then it gradually sank back down. And then it was trying to hold this line, and it's just plummeting right now, right? So we know what we expected to do long term. I mean, at this point, we're past the level I gave for this box. So as you know, I got out around here, right around here somewhere. And at that point, it was like, just watch to see where the bottom was going to fall, where it's going to catch on the bottom, right? Because that could be your next buy-in point. And for a lot of people that maybe have lost a lot on it or be down a lot on it, if you catch the right buy-in point and get a good upswing back into anywhere in this area, it could definitely make up for any of this you may have got caught up in. So CGIX is that, and let's see what else I got on here. So SENS, right? Where is it at? Okay, SENS is doing some craziness too. So what I wanted to look at here was, we caught the ride up. It's still in the channel outside of this peak here, okay? Which is like a gift and a curse, because this was a nice little peak. It surged out. So basically, if it had kept going like this, we would kind of like never even have felt, or what this was like, and then we would be like, okay, it's doing this thing, but it would be totally different feeling right now. So on one side of the brain, I got to consider the fact that it's still in the channel, right? And on the other side of the brain, I'm looking at it like, well, it hit here, and then you almost feel like it's been going down ever since. But in reality, it's still in the channel, okay? So the question is, always the question is, do we have the patience to see what it's going to do? So it looked like it hit this box again, right? Which was a yellow box of mine back when we were here, right? It was like, once it gets into here, this is the pay attention. On the way up, it was like, this is the pay attention area. This is where it's risky, the unknown area, right? So we came up out of here, and it's like a spike, and in reality, that's what it was, a spike, and it's coming back down, and it's hitting this box just the same way it left the box. See, there was some great movement, and then it left. So the question is it going to break this line and fall? Here's the bottom line of the channel coming up here. So there's a convergence happening tomorrow. So I'm really interested, because I was this close to being like, you know what, I'm selling it, and I want to sit and wait and see what happens. I'm going to give it one more day, because I want to see what this convergence, what move it makes at this convergence point. Now, I'm feeling like it actually, part of it wants to go back down to this area here. That's why I have this boxed out. So the question is, if at this convergence tomorrow, if it drops, I think that's a sign for me to sell. Now, I'm no expert, and this is just entertainment, and I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just talking over what my thoughts are and what I'm going to do with it. So based on that, right? Considering what this is tomorrow, it naturally it wants to come back down to here. Which, if we sell up here, right? Even if we get down to the high threes to see what happens tomorrow, and we sell, or I sell. Excuse me, I shouldn't say we. That might mean that you're like with me or something. So I'm not telling you what would be best for you. But if I was to sell here, and it does eventually wind up coming back down to anywhere in this area, it would actually make a good buy-in point to come back up and capitalize on that climb again. You see? Because again, SENS is one of those companies where it's like we know what it's gonna do. The question is when, and do we have the patience? All right, so that was SENS. Now TRXC is like a similar situation. It's almost like the same graph. So it came out, it went up, it spiked. We're looking for it to go to the next level, and it ran out of pep, and it's been fighting it back up, back down into the channel. And now it's the same thing again. If we cut all this off and it just did like this, we would be like, oh yeah, it's doing so great, right? So it's like part of me has to, because remember, I've been quick get it and get out, right? So when I see stuff like this, it's like it's like, yo, hold on, wait a second. But you gotta remember, like I remember I checked what was it? One of the stocks last week, and it had like a 3-day red period, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm out. and I looked at the month, or what was it, like the week, or like the something like that. It was a little bit extended, and it was like, I think it was the month, and it was up 17% on a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that just means that it's still growing, even though the ups and downs. And that's the trick is not, you know, if you put this in here and you walked away from it, and 4 months later you come back and you see it up, then you would never experience what you're going through when you watch it. You know what I'm saying? When you watch paint dry, when you watch the food in the microwave or the oven, whatever it is for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like a different experience than if you just had something else going on. And that's why I really like the quick pops. But you know, I'm really tied up right now, so I kind of had this set aside a little bit just to put in. But even with that being the case, I'm trying to stick to the plan, and I just want you guys to know it's difficult at times, because even though it's only $1,000, you know, here, or $1,000 there, it's still like your instinct is still to be like, make it stop. You know what I'm saying? So that's the fun part of the game. You know what I mean? And when you look at this graph here, you know, it's climbing. If we go back and zoom out a little bit more, you can see that going back to January 4th, it's really on a nice upward trend. Right? It's just that, and it's not even that you it's not a panic, it's just a really, like, so you, again, you know, we picking good stocks. We in good stocks. So when we get these surges, it's like it changes our, you see this? Now we want it to keep going up. And then it does this. And we're like, uh-oh, what's going on with it? Because you lose, you know, what's this? What was this that day? It was, or that was 2 days. It went from 386 to 314. So you go down 70 cents and you're like, I'm losing interest. You know what I'm saying? But look here. So when we first, somewhere around here probably. But anyway, at the beginning of January, you're talking 63 cents. and we're sitting at 541 right now, and we're wondering like, should I sell it because it whatever, what I mean, like with SENS, if you go back, same thing, all right. Beginning of January, we were at 90 cents, and we're at 412 right now after it hit 574. And I was like I just told you, I'm like, maybe I should sell it because it's crossing back in, which is true. So the thing is absolutely true, but because it could do this and go back down to 93 cents, and then you don't want that, right? So the thing is, that's what this is all about. And I keep saying that it's about your plan. What's your plan? So I'm looking at this like, all right, since the beginning of January, even going back to SENS, after I just talked about this drop, we're still in a channel that is projecting, by what's this, March, we'll be back at the $5 to $6 range. And what's going to see if I get there with it is what it do tomorrow. You know what I mean? So you got to set your own situations, because I'm curious about this spot here. See, it didn't spend a whole lot of time in this yellow zone, so it's really you could say unproven. Like even here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you want to skip that one, 10, 11, 12 days where it spent almost in a row in this zone here. So it was well documented what the energy was like in this region here, right? Here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it exited on the 6th day. And if you want to not count this one where it exited and not count the day it entered, then you really only have 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And most of those 4 days were spent in the upper half of this region. So there's really no telling what it's going to do if it drops back down in there. So it could actually go from 408, it has the potential to see 289. You see what I'm saying? So, and knowing that this is where the magnetic pole is for it, something's got to happen to actually help give it pep up. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see what happens here at this convergence point tomorrow. All right, so that's that. That's SENS. We went over TRXC. Again, like I said, same thing with TRXC. When you look at it long term, it's like, you're doing great. What are you talking about? But when you look at it short term, it's like, you know what? Combined, we just did 1,000. Now we have our $2,000. We've seen a lot of $2,000, $3,000 days, $5,000 days, almost 8,000 in a day. You know what I mean? But when you going red, you don't want to go red at all. You know what I'm saying? So you try to have a good mixture of balanced portfolio, but there's something going on here, and I think that's what I've been really searching for. Is there's something happening, and I wanted to see if maybe what you guys thought it was, right? Because they all have, a lot of these stocks have something in common, which I just don't know if that's normal or not. So here's something I'm definitely interested in, because I was considering selling a few things. First of all, let me show you this one. This is another one that's doing really good. Torchlight Energy out in Texas. They're doing good. Here's February 8th. So again, we got a nice channel. We're climbing. We got the same spike here. It's almost like they all got this shark fin. You know what I mean? I'm just going to call it the shark fin. And then it comes back down and hits the bottom of the channel. And then, if we continue at this pace, by the end of February, we'll be looking to be at, $4.50 to $6. You know what I'm saying? So do you have the patience? All right. Some ups and downs. It's been on a nice downward trend, but it's still in the channel. It's a wide channel, but it's in the channel nonetheless. All right. Now so after I was looking at everything, I mean, here's Titan. Titan is just like, right? So when we get to VEON, right? I'm thinking when I was really considering what I wanted to do, like if I wanted to consolidate, what would my focus be? And I really think what I'm really interested in now, if I had to consolidate based on what the stocks that I'm in now, which, you know, I sold everything and then got back in a little of this, got back in a little of that, got back in. So the disruption really broke up the big play, and which I'm okay with. There'll be other opportunities to do something like that again, really soon. And I'm interested in VEON, right? And then I'm also interested in EVOL or Evolve or whatever you want to say. Let me put this back on 3 minutes so it lines up. Okay, because now you can see we're back in this channel. We're in our channel. As long as we stay in this channel, you know, Evolve is looking to be, you know, possibly here. 350 to 458 by 2 days from now, this week. So I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out, right? Knowing what that is with the chips, the SIM cards and everything. And then going back to VEON, which there actually is a customer EVOL. And I'm looking at them to in the same situation here. So they are coming up on what I'm gonna call their convergence point, where we gotta see they had a couple shark fins and they dropped down, had a little spike, but pretty much for the most part, this line right here, 184, it's been fighting to break over that line, and I'm really interested if it's going to do that anytime like in the next day, or are we going to have to potentially wait until out here, right, for it to be forced above this line? And then how far is this really, like first week of March? So that's what I'm looking at with these guys. Evolve or EVOL for short, and VEON, I think are going to be my new, like, you know, points of interest. Because when you look at EVOL, right, I don't know why I keep saying it like that, but when you look at it in a sense of long term, look at what this company was. And I'm kind of like, all right, it's kind of exciting because where we're catching it at. And if you look at this, you know, of course that was back in 2014, but what I'm getting at is it was a $10 company. Then it had some fall offs, and then it did this long, like, you know what I'm saying? But now these candlesticks are a week long each. But now it's starting to trend back up. And I think this is going to be like massive, because to go down like this, there wasn't this, you know, there were spikes, there was ups and downs like a normal daily stock thing, but this is, like I said, weeks. Or this very much looks like a day where you got your minutes, you know, or whatever it is, 5 minutes, and this is just your candlestick, right? Remember we talked about the candlestick, it can represent anything. So, but this part right here, it kind of looks like you just said, you know what, I'm getting my shit together, and we're gonna fucking get this shit right. And you know what, now, you know what, and now we're on the surge. You see what I'm saying? That's what I kind of feel from here. I could be totally wrong, but this right here, I think is that slingshot launch. Like, they, not to say they're gonna totally go parabolic, but I think they're getting ready to go to up. You know what I mean? Like, they're ready. Anyway, I broke down the company for you. I told you what I'm really interested in, what they're doing, and why, with all the 5G and all that situation. So I think they are actually in position to be really, really really explosive in upcoming months, if not weeks or days. So now, as they do that, it may or may not be in a direct response to something that's going to also trigger VEON, because when VEON gets their stuff, not that they're not together, but when they actually start to tap into that huge market they got, EVOL is gonna actually be a byproduct of that. So when we're looking at like Titan and SENS, they're in the same industry, but they're not actually like competitors, but they're more like competitors. See, the benefit now it's a gift and a curse, because if VEON and Evolve, because they're like together, they're like working together in the industry, to have both of them means that something that affects that industry could affect both of the stocks. But that could go for being good and blow them both up, or it could go for being negative and make them both go down a little bit. So I think it's pretty safe with VEON being at $1.81 right now, and they're really only moving, like penny or two a day. So even when they have a bad day, like it's like a negative 1 cent day, you know what I'm saying? Negative 2 or 3 cents. So when you look at this, even a bad day for them is like, if you go from here, this was 87 to 69, right? You could say 70. So that's 17 cents. That's over a few days. So 17-cent move. It's pretty tight up in here, right? It's where it spent a lot of its time, all the way up to the beginning of January after it climbed into it. Had a little dip, had some little spikes, but a lot of its time has been in this zone here. And what I'm interested in is when it gets pushed out of this zone upward, where's it going to go? How far is it going to go and how fast? And the same thing with Evolve, because this was the box it got into, it dropped down, but the bottom of this channel is, possibly tomorrow is going to push it into and over 326. So let's see how that plays out, because then we're up next, it's another 50 cent to 378. And then on the high end, shortly we're at 462. And it's definitely got the trajectory. It's a wide channel, but it's definitely got the trajectory. And I think this is a pretty safe channel, but let's see what happens to it. So I'm thinking that's what I'm looking at now, guys. And like I said, CGIX, it's down here now. So you gotta make, I don't know what to say now, because this was what I had to say here. If it crosses into here, be careful. So anything below this is like, you just gotta wait for it to find a new bottom, get an upswing, and maybe buy into it. Or maybe you're just done with it altogether and you find something else like this that's evolving. You know what I'm saying? Constantly. Even when it's going down, it's still going up. You see? So I'm gonna look at some things tomorrow. A few things looks like they have pivotal points in like the second week of March. Like even SENS, going back to SENS, I really have this. Let's see here. I really consider this out here would be the next, like, I think we're going to see like a move from it somewhere by the 11th of March. And that's why I have this box out to here, because this date has some value in my assessment. So these movements here, I can't say for sure what it's going to do with this area here right now, because it's just questionable. And there's not a lot of support above it, because it didn't spend a lot of time there either. So all this is really just speculation. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, it's going to $50 and we hope so, we think so, we know so eventually, but when? So right now, we can't say what it's going to do, because we're watching it do what it's do, right? So now when I have enough knowledge, I have enough not knowledge, but when I have enough data to confirm you guys see that, I'll let you know, and I'm pretty accurate. We done predicted entry points down to the penny repeatedly, like literally within 1 cent of where it dropped down to or where it was. We've been there. We've predicted it a day or two ahead of time. So you guys know I'm quite comfortable telling you when I know something, and I'm also equally comfortable telling you when I don't know something. And I feel like that you should respect me for, because I'm not going to mislead you. So really, because these are my notes to myself. All right. And when you subscribe, you'll get to know me better, because you'll get to catch more videos and you'll see how we get down here. So with that being said, like I said, it's just not enough detail here. This is the high for the 52 weeks, so it didn't, this is all you have. So there's nothing you can really say there besides it went up and came back down. There's some data here, but it's not enough to be pronounced. And then we're back into the yellow box zone, where I've told you it was a cautious zone ever since it went there the first time. You see what I mean? This is comfortable. And this is why in the core of that, this is where it kind of wants to get back to. We don't want it to get back there. We wanted to keep going up, but we got to see how it plays out. So tomorrow's going to be critical in the near to short term on how I'm going to play SENS based on what it do tomorrow. All right. Now we could go over a bunch of stuff, and matter of fact, this is what I wanted to take a look at here. Now, without focusing on a particular stock, right? That one don't count. Okay, that was EVOL. That really don't count. All right, CGIX. Now, CGIX, this was the 10th, right? But there's a date in here that a lot of these stocks have in common. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Excuse me. So this was the 10th, so it was the day before, and then the 11th. But I mean, you're talking the day before, so maybe it still applies. Now, here was the 10th here, right? It reached the high, and then ever since the 10th, let's go back. The CGIX, it hit the 10th, right? So maybe we can put it over a 48-hour period. All right, let's do it like that, because the 10th and the 11th are... Anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about. So the 10th, here we are again. 10th, reach a high, come down. Here we go again. Here's the 10th. And then pretty much on down. All right, so this one doesn't fit the profile exactly. All right, kind of just flatline. It was going up, and then it got to the 10th, and it's kind of just been flat. So you can say that still counts as compression, atmospheric pressure increase. I don't know, but look. All right, let's see what else we got here. So again, we had some upward swings. This one was premature of the 10th, but definitely once it got to the 10th, it went up only a little bit, and then it flattened out, came back down. Now, not to try and force things into the cookie mold cutter, but here we go again, the 10th. And what I was thinking originally was 11th was heavily mentioned with this pattern, so I'm just adding the 10th to it. But if we want to focus in these couple days here, so we got the 10th, 11th, boom, and then right. Even with VEON, the 10th had a little dip, but it started fighting back. All right, gotta respect that. Here we are, another stock. This is Titan, TMDI. So the 10th, bam, wham, and then right. So I mean, so I was sitting here wondering, and this is part of why the video is so late, because I spent about 45 minutes searching for what happened on the 10th or the 11th, and you know what I mean, in the world. Like, was there something going on? And I probably overlooked it or missed it. Something that's really critical, and maybe you guys can share it in the comments. Matter of fact, if everybody search and try to find one thing that happened between the 10th and the 11th and put it in the comments below, then we can all have a good scale of what could potentially be driving this sort of situation. So here we go. And I'll let you know what I found. And it's kind of weird. So I think the title might have gave it away. But so here at the 10th, boom, it goes to the 11th. And then pretty much we're on the slope. We're skiing the whole way down on all of these. Now, here we go again. Here goes TRXC on the 10th. Bam. Now we're into the 11th. And aside from this spike here, it was pretty much a downhill slope until you hit this, where you get a nice little jump. Now, again, we're in the channel. It hit the top of the channel exactly here. And, you know, now it's coming back down. So, but still, that date comes into play, the 10th and the 11th. SENS doesn't really fit the profile. It actually went up. So that's a anomaly to that. But as you can see, we went through how many, and it pretty much, you know, lines up. Now here we had the 10th, and it compressed until, you know, the 12th, and then we got a nice little spike and came back down. So, which is weird because this is Torch Energy and it's in Texas, and they're like natural gas, oil, stuff like that. You know, they're digging. And you would think this may or may not be the result you get with all the talk from the Biden era and everything, but you get what I'm saying. So here we are, the 10th on this one. This is there, and then right, FRSX, another one. It got to the 10th, and then right, bingo, the 10th, 11th. It was a delayed reaction, but I'm not going to count this in there. But wow, look at bingo. It went and then just fell all the way off. You know what I'm saying? So one more. Here goes the 10th. Huge surge. And then a huge drop. And it's been fighting back. And it's down here now. So, I mean, I'm sure we could go through more stocks, but I'm not back in all of these, but these are all ones that we went over you know, fairly recently, and they all have the same date. And you know what's interesting about it is that the only thing and I could come up with, and then what happened is when I saw it, I was like, well, what day did it actually start? And then the problem was I couldn't find a good day to say this is when it actually started. You know what I'm saying? Especially like in Texas, because what I'm looking at here is the 13th, which was the winter storm, quote unquote, you know, where the whole world was worried about getting snowed in. And the weird part is, okay, so the 13th is when it hit somewhere, right? Which was a Saturday. So you figure just like a storm, you know, any storm, a hurricane, stuff is coming, that's happening. When people know it's happening on the weekend, they start to prepare like, you know, by Thursday, or else by Friday it's a wrap and everything's sold out and it's gone. So I'm looking at this situation, and this is partly why I'm like, do you sell? I think there's a chance that this depression is somewhat related to the storm. I know that's weird. I know that's out there. I know it's crazy. And it's like, Pasha, what are you talking about? But the 10th and the 11th are the Wednesday and the Thursday before the Saturday, quote unquote, starting the storm. And it may have started some parts of the country a little earlier, right? So that means it could have actually hit on the 12th, or it could have been already there by the 11th, right? But those 2 days are like the preparation days if you know something is coming Friday night into Saturday. You see what I'm saying? Now, does that translate into snow falling the stock market? Possibly. Because I really don't see no other connection that would drive down so many different stocks on the same day at the same time. Naturally. I mean, I could be wrong. So basically what I'm getting at is, when and if all this blows over, so to speak, thaws out, because also now the problem is Texas is like, in their power grid failure, it's a lot of questionable stuff right now, right? So does that make the market a little sketchy is the question. So when we go and we look at, a CGIX or a SENS, if we're expecting this is what's causing it, then you can expect a rebound once this is over with, right? If you sell now and it continues to drop, you'll get a better buy-in point. If you sell now and it goes up tomorrow, you'll be, a little less positioned. So you gotta figure out what you want to do. Let me know in the comments below if you feel like the snow has something to do with this, which would be good, because then at least you know what the cause is, and if it's just weather related, then you can feel better about the current situations that you're looking at in your charts. Because a lot of stuff was red, like stuff that even Neo's down, like, you know what I mean? Again. so like Neo was down $4.36 today. Matter of fact, let's look at Neo. Bam, there you go. Here's the 10th. And then, and I didn't even check this one. So there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Pasha Pyro, YNet7, back into the yellow area. Thank you for tuning. The replay. Big board P.E.P for my peeps.